Finally, we have a scumbag
Seller
of the
week.
This one is an interesting one because this comes from a first-person account of someone at a swap meet / flea market in New York State. So this person, his name is Landon, frequent chatter from my Wednesday commercial streams, twitch.tv / country code every Wednesday, the greatest 70s, 80s, 90s, spinning the hits commercial-wise there. So they're in my chat a couple weeks ago, and they just start going off on the story about, hey, Pat, I was at a flea market, and da-da-da. And I was just like, wait a minute. I said, this is true? You're not making this up? This is crazy. I said, all right, send me an email of this all like in a message laid out, and I can go for it on the podcast. And he said, sounds good. So this is the story from Landon in Stormville, New York. It's a flea market that happens it's not every week, it's like every month or so. Their website has a list of flea market dates. This one happened, I believe it's in the story. Okay. Hey, Pat, I'm emailing you with the full story about what happened when I went to the Stormville flea market. I went on June 14th, which was a yard sale day instead of a flea market day. I guess that means they have more.
Probably more just like people who need like one table for one day.
Gotcha. I went on June 14th, which was a yard sale day instead of a flea market day, but there were still vendors like you normally would find at the flea market. I approached a tent that had Nintendo signs on the outside of it. I don't believe there was a name on it, but there was a small red tent with tables inside. There were two people running the tent. One person was about mid to late 40s, and another person, I would say probably early 20s, who I believe was his child. As I walked into the tent, I saw that they had various WATA-graded items, as well as loose cartridges of NES, Super NES, and N64. There were also some Wii games and Switch games. Some of the WATA items, from what I remember, included a complete in-box Mario Paint for $300, a complete in-box Super Scope for $100, and a graded box only for the NES Batman Return of the Joker for $500. I don't remember the exact price. That's bizarre, but remember that. This is some weird stuff to have graded, a box only. So I was at the back of the tent, and I hear someone say, nice pins. I ignored it because sometimes I forget that I have pins on my bag. He then says, hey. So I look back, and he said, you listen to Pat and Ian? To which I replied, yes, I love the podcast. Do you listen to it? He said, yeah, I try not to. Those guys don't know what they're talking about. All they do is complain, and their egos have gotten so big that they've become sellouts trying to push bad products. I'm not a very confrontational person, so I just kind of said, I don't know. I find them entertaining and informative. He then raised his voice and said, well, you've become part of the problem now, haven't you? I just stood there silently and shocked because, again, I didn't want a confrontation. He then told me, you're done. Leave before I call security. So I just walked out. As I was walking out, he said, and that guy Ian is a fat slob. Two young guys, probably mid-20s, saw this go down, and they said that they actually loved the CU podcast, and we laughed together and exchanged some words for about 5 minutes. Included is a picture of my backpack and two Pac-Man glasses that I got for $5 for the pair at the flea market. And there's a picture of the backpack, and he has the CU podcast pin. He has the Pat with the big hair pin and a bunch of other Pokemon pins and the Ice Climbers. Ian saw this picture before. And the two Pac-Man glasses that you probably saw from the early 80s, the mug style.
Yeah.
Where Pac-Man,
I think I've got one.
Where Pac-Man is devouring one with a sad look on his face, and another one's under his arm because Pac-Man looks like a murderous rampager right there. So, okay, there's a lot to digest here. And there's nothing here to suggest that this is a made-up story because I've saw Landon in my chat for years, and he has the pins on here. So this is what I'm going to say. There's a lot to go up here. First, you can tell the caliber of seller they are when they have not just the WATA thing, which could be fine. These are the worst type of WATA-graded things you can possibly have.
Right. This is literally, please just put this in a plastic case so I can sell it to someone stupid who thinks they're getting something special.
And make it look like it's worth more money than it is. The fact that they got a Super Scope, just CIB graded for $100, means that they lost money. They lost money shipping it back and forth and probably paying extra for a fucking giant plastic WATA case for a common as hell Super Scope. So I don't respect you as a seller for doing that, regardless of your opinions on that. And then having a box only for yes, a very uncommon NES game, but just box only.
Which game was it?
Return of the Joker.
Yeah, it's just so ridiculous.
It's so weird because you would be a lot smarter if you would find the game, which doesn't go for a ton, and the manual and pair them together. You'd make a lot more money, and it would make a lot more sense and be a lot more attractive to a buyer.
I think that's what's funny here is they clearly aren't very smart. They're misreading the market they're trying to fleece. They
Yes.
don't even understand the market that they so desperately want to be a part of.
Yes.
The people who are in this market who buy this graded stuff, they want it complete and sealed because they think that's the best, most finest iteration of it, and that's why they buy. They're not going to buy fucking trash in a plastic case. That doesn't. I don't even think that the stupid collectors are that stupid.
So before we get into the confrontation, which is obviously bad, I don't respect your rationale as a seller because you are selling to nobody. Like, that's a nobody market, that stuff you are selling. There's no one that just wants a boxed, just a box for an NES game.
It sounds like they went through like a storage shed and just threw stuff in a box and was like, grade this.
Yeah, it's not like, if I found a Stadium Events box, I wouldn't get it graded. It'd be worth it overall to buy the game to pair it with. Like, there's no strategy almost ever where you just want to have the box and grade it and get it sold. Doesn't make any sense. You can just sell the box by itself. Anyway, let's get to the confrontation here. I don't know what type of person would want to interrupt someone going about their business that has a bunch of Pokemon pins on there and then they recognized our pin from far away. That's what got to me. They have absorbed the podcast in some way, shape, or form that they know from far away they could read the podcast pin or identify us. That to me means something to me.
Yeah.
That means like they might have liked us or followed us for at some point in time, or still do.
Well, my basic interpretation of it is, I think it's pretty obvious. They're selling graded stuff. We spent years rallying against the practices at WATA, and that probably
speculative bubble, which we were right about.
Yes, and that rubbed them the wrong way.
You think we cost them money on that?
I wouldn't ever give myself credit for anything like that, but I'm sure that if they did this and they're struggling to sell that stuff and they hear us constantly talking shit about it, they're going to get pissed.
All right, I don't usually respond to this sort of thing, but I am now because this happened in real life to someone else. All they do is complain. And okay, I love that line because we get it sometimes from people that listen to us where it's like, oh, you guys are just complaining about stuff. Every episode we talk about stuff we like. It just doesn't get the same amount of attention usually. It's just the way it is. It's like the news. We talk about things we like. Ian reviews something he played. I talk about I had a good time at a convention or whatever. But you know what people like? They like the car wrecks, unfortunately. So they want to hear about the Amico news, which is funnier. Overall, things like that. That's just the way things work sometimes. But every episode is not just us complaining for 90 minutes. We talk about things we like, whether it's food, whether it's movies. I talk about how much I love seeing Superman in a couple of days. It looks great. We'll probably talk about it next podcast and hopefully love it based upon the early reviews. That's just a really shallow complaint.
Well, and this is what I always take from it, because I go out of my way to try to be positive because the world is shit. I try to effusively talk about anything I enjoy. Complaining about everything is the same sort of it has the same seed as the I don't want politics in my podcast.
You think so? That's part of the same tree?
Well, it's this. The politics don't matter until they're politics you don't agree with.
Sure.
You don't notice the complaining until we're complaining about something you enjoy.
Sure.
And I think that's what it comes down to. I had someone the other day, one of my friends, I said I liked something. And they looked at me and they said, genuinely, are there things you don't like? And I said, well, yeah. And he goes, you just seem to like everything. And it wasn't like it's not that I'm overly positive, but he's like, you seem willing to just kind of give anything a try.
Sure.
And I was like, yes. And that's the thing. I mean, I hearing that from someone felt good, though, because I really do think I try to put some sort of positivity out there and talk about things I like and not just complain.
Sure. But I think a lot of this also goes down to the fact that when we're complaining about stuff, it's bad things happening and people are getting hurt. We talked about the Microsoft talk. We talked almost a half hour about their awful decisions, short-sighted.
26 billion
in profit. And they're firing 9,000 people and they're turning to AI. It's hard to be positive about bad things happen like that. Or like I said, like whether it's a scam console or it's a bad product, to me, that's also consumer advocacy. And that's almost always going to be erring on the side of caution and quote unquote complaining. It is what it is.
And there are episodes where the news comes out in a way that, that is going to be a lot of what we talk about. But I really do actively try to balance it.
Yeah, sure. This other part is always funny because I've seen this from other people that then attack videos on us. They become sellouts trying to push bad products. These are people that have a facile way of thinking and try to think that when you're advertising something means you are endorsing it or you're telling people to go out and get it immediately. It's like, when you're advertising something on a podcast or a TV show, that's how you pay the bills. And it is what it is. And unless you have an infantile way of thinking, you know that as an adult that things get advertised when you're doing entertainment medium. That's just the way it is. And we, thankfully, for the vast majority of this stuff, I would say that I love Magic Spoon. And I'm not defending myself advertising this stuff, but people would say in comments, "Oh, that stuff, why are you pushing that?" It's like, I actually eat Magic Spoon. I have. Ian knows that. He's seen the boxes. I used to snack on it a lot when I used to get it from them and things like that. And it is what it is. And you can either be an adult or not when it comes to these things. The same way people used to always get pissed at Kickstarters or even Patreon in the past. It's like, how dare you try to get compensated for putting your time and effort into something and creating something? How dare you?
Yeah.
It's just you're a child. Mm-hmm. So it's also anti-capitalistic, by the way, which Ian's not a capitalist, but you should appreciate that. So that's it. And now confronting someone that comes into your booth that has a pin on is just, I mean, you don't have to say what type of person that is, but what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Don't hassle anyone.
Well, I don't really need to go down a deep, dark road here again. But what kind of fucking life are you leading where the first thing you think of when someone walks in, a potential customer, is to just start shit over their pin? How miserable are you?
Yeah, that's just, what are you doing?
Like, what? Home life not good? Not selling your shit? Not making money off your garbage wrapped in plastic?
Not selling that $100 Super Scope?
Fuck, man.
Oh, that Super Scope wasn't graded, by the way. It was just the Batman Return of the Joker. I want to get that right. Oh, no, that was included. Some of the white... oh, no, you did grade a Super Scope. I reread the sentence. I'm sorry you made some bad decisions here. I'm sorry you're a bad business person. That's not my problem. That's not Ian's problem, that you got sucked into WADA or that you were a fan of the Amico and you couldn't admit that you were wrong. That's not me and Ian's egos. That's you having a bad judgment. And I'm not going to apologize for being correct. I'm not doing that. I don't believe in fake humility. And by the way, I've always had, Ian's known me since before the podcast. I've always had a little bit of an ego. I've always, it hasn't elevated it. It's always been there.
Yeah.
It's not more grandiose. It's always been there.
And I've lost like 5 pounds.
I was going to say,
podcast.
I'll just say this. I responded to Landon and say, the person calling Ian a fat slob, were they projecting a little bit? And they did respond, and this person's too nice. They kind of said, yeah, they probably were. They probably were. I'd put $20 on Ian in a push-up contest. You look a little more svelte. Yeah, you do. I'm not just saying that because you're wearing awesome jams with jellyfish design on it. So anyway, that's about it.
I love these shorts. They're my favorite shorts.
I don't believe in fake humility when it comes to these things. I don't believe that you should let these things go on when someone does bad stuff. But yeah, I don't want anyone to hassle this person at this flea market, but just, maybe just ask them how much, their Mario paint is or Super Scope and just say that's a little bit too much money and walk away. That's about it. That's what I would say. Yeah. I'd be like, really? You want a graded Super Scope? Anyway, is there anything else to add, or is that good on that front?
No, I think that's it.
All right, so Stormville, New York, flea market seller. You're the scumbag seller of the week. But if you change your mind, I'll send you some pins for free just to show that, hey, I can forgive you if you realize that you want to turn it around. I'll do that.
Want to hit the gym, spot some reps? You just let me know.
Do some curls with Ian.